Domers are the new #1 team in the country on a blustery day in South Bend. They will welcome the Virginia Cavaliers. Get set to see the Kavanagh brothers doing battle against Petey LaSalle, the best face-off guy in the conference, was certainly one of them. And the Pipers, they will not pipe down. Because the Golden Domers, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, are unbeaten. Chris Cotter and Paul Carcaterra with you, man. I'm excited about this one. So are the fans. Despite the weather, they're here in Mass today. What do we expect to see from Notre Dame now that they're #1 in the country?
Well, look, the drive to #1 for Notre Dame, for me, Chris, it started a year ago. They haven't lost since last March, and when they were snubbed from the NCAA tournament a year ago, I think it gave them purpose and a drive and a mission for an offseason where this team is together and they are nasty.
Well, you talk about the drive. The man who drives the bus for the Irish, it's Pat Kavanagh.
Oh, he's unbelievable. For me, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the nation for a few reasons. One, it's his passing. He has anticipation to get teammates involved, and he senses when the cut is coming. There's his brother, Chris Kavanagh. And then it's the improv and suddenness of the creativity and the behind the backs that make him so fun to watch. And then it's the clutch gene. Like his brother, Matty Ice, Patty can ice a game.
And his other brother, one of his other brothers, Chris Kavanagh, a teammate of his, 21 goals, leads this team. And Jake Taylor on the right was injured in the offseason, making his first start of the year. That's huge, as he is so effective flanked by these two Kavanagh brothers. All right, when you talk about Virginia, you know, Lars doesn't really dip into the transfer portal very often, but when he does, he usually has a lot of success, and he's had a great deal of success with Thomas McConvey out of Vermont.
McConvey's the lacrosse version of Luka Doncic because he's inside and he's out. If you leave him on that left goal line extended, it's turn and rake time. But he also has the ability to get underneath defenders, fly through the air with a Superman-type goal, and he can sling it from deep and give goalies absolute fits.
Virginia spreads out the scoring. You know about Connor Shellenberger. Xander Dickson, 26 goals himself. Griffin Schuts out of the midfield. There's McConvey, and Cormier's been banged up. He had to miss a couple of games, but he had a hat trick in the loss to Maryland last weekend. Mentioned the crowd. You could see him on the far berm. They're coming in mass. The hockey team is here from Notre Dame. You got the football team expected to make an appearance on a cold, windy, rainy day. They're expecting snow later. The folks here in South Bend, they don't care. They know #3 Virginia's in town. They know the Irish are the new #1 team in the country and the last remaining unbeaten in Division I. We are going to have a barn burner here today, and we are set to go. Petey LaSalle against Will Lynch. This is a big battle right here. Lynch actually got the better of LaSalle in last year's game, but LaSalle gets possession to Virginia to start. And he can shoot too. He does here, and Entenmann bests him.
They will keep Petey LaSalle on after face-off wins with regularity. They'll play the 5-on-5 game because he can shoot from the outside, but he also creates havoc for defenses in terms of their base defense and getting them out of it.
Now the Irish in the offensive end. Brian Tevlin, one of the two bagpipers you saw that led the Irish onto the field today, along with Ross Bergmaster. He'll run off. Good two-way forward. Can play both on the defense and the offensive end.
And watch number 8, Eric Dobson, put 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason. And Matt Nunes gets a much-needed early save.
Great sign for Virginia. Matt Nunes struggled a little bit as of late, but he takes care of business against Dobson on that first shot.
What a crowd. We thought the weather would keep the fans away.
Not at all. No chance. I mean, this is nothing for South Benders, right?
Lacrosse means something in this town, and Kevin Corrigan has built a monster of a program.
Big Griffin Schuts looking to dodge on McCahon. Got his hands free a little bit. Entenmann, sharp early, couple of saves for the Irish goaltender. Matthew Nunes on one end, Liam Entenmann, the consensus All-American in net for Notre Dame.
You know, Liam Entenmann can track those sidearm shots pretty well, and we've seen 2 sidearms for Virginia right now. I think an overhand release will give them much better shot in terms of beating the All-American.
Connor inside. Couldn't get the shot off, though. Cormier, that's where he lives, on the crease, but good defense by the Irish. Now they come the other way. McCann, 15. Over to Pat Kavanagh, 51, his brother. Where's 50? Here comes Riley Gray out of the box, second midfield unit for the Irish. Coach has talked a lot about how impressive this second midfield unit has been for Coach Corrigan.
Yeah, Riley Gray, 17 and white. He's a guy I want to see shoot more. Shoots over 60% for a midfielder who plays on the perimeter. Those guys typically shoot around 30%. When he's aggressive, he can do it.
Simmons now behind the cage to Kavanagh. In front, behind the back by Taylor. That's a specialty of his. He takes those Kavanagh feeds right in front and buries them usually.
Love it. This is his first start of the season because of the offseason knee injury. He completes this offense. His inside presence is ridiculous.
Simmons. Kavanagh, head up, fires it to his brother who scores and puts the Irish on the board.
Chris is waving the number 1. That's what the Irish are right now in the polls. To the fans at the berm. It's getting them juiced. And this is the combination we showed in the open. Pat Kavanagh with the anticipation of knowing where brother Chris is at all times. And what Chris Kavanagh is doing better than almost anyone in the country is he catches and shoots from the outside all in one motion. It's one thing, Chris, when it's a quick stick from the inside. But with range, he does that.
22nd goal on the year for Chris Kavanagh. And again, we're at this face-off dot. Picked up by Scott Bauer. Clark, you know Petey LaSalle as well as anybody. When you think about, I'm not saying he holds a grudge, but if he loses a face-off battle in a game, it haunts him for a year. He's been thinking about this game for a year since Lynch got the better of him last year, even though Virginia was able to win that game. And it's the last time Notre Dame lost a game, by the way, exactly a year ago. You know LaSalle has that in his mind.
It's been marinating. He's Long Island tough, lives in the weight room, squats 561 pounds.
Ridiculous.
Probably has Will Lynch's face on his mind, right? Every time he bounds down.
Shellenberger tried to feed it inside to Dickson. They can't hook up. Now another feed inside. Schutz wasn't able to finish off. Check that. That was Cormier inside, and Entenmann falls on him.
Virginia known for the ride. It's part of Lars Tiffany's DNA as a coach. If you play attack, you hustle and you ride. But in this game, the guys on the other side, the Kavanaghs, are relentless riders as well. So if you're a young attackman, watch how both teams ride.
Nice job defensively by Cole Kastner. The lengthy 39 and 11 for Virginia. You talk about size on that blue line. Dobson shoots and scores. Nope, check that, outside. First bomb goal of the year for me.
Watch how much of the right hand they're giving the big lefty Dobson, daring him to go right.
Shellenberger, couple of steps off target.
The scout on Dobson, 8 and white, is heavy dose of his left hand. And Evan Zinn that time begged him to go right, as Thomas McConvey, another elite midfielder. I think Dobson, McConvey, and Matt Campbell for Villanova, the best 3 middies in the country as of right now. Those are my top 3 guys, 2 of them in this game.
Garno couldn't get it on target. Still plenty of time, 56 seconds to shoot for Shellenberger. Trying to work a 2-man game with Connor. He's got Nick Harris D-middy on him. Spins back to his right. No room. Back to Shellenberger. In front, Xander Dickson, and Entenmann is right there. Battle for it in front, though. Cormier can't get his hands free, but the strength just to be able to stay in on it. Now we get a whistle. And they're granting a timeout to Virginia. Lars was able to come in and get the timeout while Virginia had possession, and Corrigan is not happy about that call. I don't think he understands quite how the whistle could have been blown there. He thought it was still a loose ball. And his Chargers had a shot to pick it up. The Irish, the band is playing, and why not? Notre Dame up early.
These folks here today, and they've gotten
to see a good one so far, just about 5 minutes in. Both these teams kind of settling in a little bit. Chris Kavanagh with the lone goal, so the Irish are on top. McConvey, you talked about him in the open. Back to Shellenberger. Beautiful move, and he scores. Tight angle for Connor Shellenberger to knot things up at one apiece.
The question I had in the pregame when we were going through things with our producer Ryan Hoff, Chris Cotter, was if Chris Fake defends Connor Shellenberger, Shellenberger has to play in space. If he gets into the body of Chris Fake, it's all over. He doesn't get to the body. He uses that hard plant foot with his left foot to get above goal line extended, so he sells him at X and just absolutely dusts him.
Thornton finalist last year. Certainly expect to see him as a finalist again this year. Hasn't scored as many goals this year as he has in previous years. That's just his 13th goal, but he comes in 6th in the country in assists per game. He's making everybody else, like Pat Kavanagh on the other side, better.
It's an absolutely gorgeous dodge by Connor Shellenberger. The way that he set it up, the way that he used that pick just to kind of have Chris Fake thinking, are they picking at X? Then he actually goes the opposite side and never gets into the body of Fake. When you watch Fake, Fake's had a tremendous start to the season. He body slams players when you get into the body. Shellenberger knows that.
Connor got open, and he scores. Confusion on Notre Dame's side defensively. Had a broken stick. Carter Parlett had a broken stick just as Jeff Connor was getting to the crease, and there was nothing he could do about it. They couldn't recover quickly enough.
When you play Notre Dame, they dare you to get underneath from the midfield because they know that's where the help is. But I think that broken stick just took that entire defense off their track.
You see Parlett running away from it. Got to stay clear. Once your stick breaks in college lacrosse, you got to get out of the play.
And what Jeff Connors did there, which was so smart, dodging north-south against the Notre Dame defense as a midfielder is virtually impossible. But he kind of went into that lower area and then came back to increase his angle. So Jeff Connor, a very, very smart fifth-year senior who plays all over the offensive zone. You'll see him behind the cage, you'll see him up top, and that really lends to some success in terms of dodging with your middies because you have a versatile approach. Because if you look at Notre Dame, in all the years with Kevin Corrigan, dodging from the midfield is tough.
Just saw another aspect of the Kavanagh's game. Pat Kavanagh just scooping up that ground ball on the face-off. Not able to get anything on that offensive possession, though. Here comes Evan Zinn. Look at the speed of 0 in blue. You need a punt return on a clear. Get it in 0's cross. Peter Garno waits for his line mate to come on. McConvey. McConvey on Boyer.
McConvey has the pull. The one long stick midfielder for Notre Dame, Boyer, matches with him.
Miezan gets it to Cormier and he misfires.
The thing with McConvey in his 4 years at Vermont, always had the pull. So he's still going to go to the goal, regardless if he has a short stick or a long stick matchup. He's so accustomed to that.
So here's Shellenberger and Fake. Trying to get a Garno pick, and he gets it. Garno falls down, but it gives Shellenberger enough room to find Cormier.
The windows inside, when you jam it on a Notre Dame defense, are small, but there's no better player to look for than Payton Cormier, because he can score 5 goals today, Chris, and have the ball in his stick for about 15 seconds. His Canadian box background, played for Mimico outside of Toronto, allows him to make moves in tight quarters, and Shellenberger knows that. The rules for Cormier are different than every other player. Jam it into 24. That's his bread and butter.
Timeout Notre Dame. Kevin Corrigan has seen enough. Irish broke out on top early in this game, 1-0. Cavaliers have scored 3 straight to take that 3-1 lead midway through this first quarter.
Cormier's dad, Chris, has a short drive this week. Normally he drives to Charlottesville 10 hours. I saw him last week. He told me this trek, a lot shorter, 6.5. And he coached Payton growing up, and such an influence on his shooting because Chris was a goalie. They play in the backyard, and Payton constantly shooting on dad.
All right, next Saturday afternoon on the ACC Network, Syracuse hosts this very Notre Dame team at the JMA Wireless Dome. That still feels weird saying it that way. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock Eastern. No matter what the weather will be like outside, it's always warm inside in Syracuse.
Yep. And if you look at Virginia offensively, they are very strategic in terms of how they want to attack Notre Dame. And you saw it in 2 of the goals. You saw Cormier's inside. Sometimes there's those small windows, but a lot of times you don't have the player to close those small windows. Virginia has it in Cormier. And the other is dodging from behind. If you have a successful guy that can operate at X, like Connor Shellenberger, and own a one-on-one matchup, you will have opportunities. Dodging traditionally from up top is a tall order against a Kevin Corrigan and Ryan Wellner defense.
Connor picks up the loose ball. Gets it over to Sawstead.
You love about Jeff Connor. Right now he's clearing the ball, plays wings. He's going to get a flag there.
Now he comes down, shot for Notre Dame and a score, but let's see what the marker was all about.
Yeah, they're going to be a push on Jeff Connor. I was talking about his versatility, one of the more versatile two-way middies in the country. You saw him score a goal, plays the wing on the face, can play defense, can clear the ball. That is a clear push in the back by Will Lynch, 30 seconds in. You don't want to go man down against either of these two teams. They both are checking in at 62%. If you're over 40, you're doing some good things. If you're at 62, you got some magic.
Both tied for the second best man-up units in the country, second only to Georgetown. Extremely effective, Shellenberger. He's got shuts behind the cage. Xander Dickson just lets it fly, low to high and too high. Virginia in the middle of a 30-second man up. Shuts. Over to McConvey. Here's Shellenberger. Looking to get it to Shuts inside. Skip pass. Extra. Cormier finishes it off.
The ball movement and the unselfish approach by this extra man unit. Garno potentially had a shot right there. He skips it to McConvey. Once the skip happens, the defense breaks. And then it's just an easy, wide open look by Payton Cormier. But I thought that skip from Peter Garno dictated the ability of Payton Cormier to set his feet. And McConvey knew the one-timer down to his old teammate since they're 4 years old, Payton Cormier.
New face-off man for Notre Dame, Colin Hagstrom taking the draw. Petey's able to pick it up initially. He did step out of bounds, though, so it'll go over to the Irish. Can the Irish start quickly here with a little bit of confusion on the field?
Petey won the face-off, but what Notre Dame has historically done is good, if not better, than any team in the country is they lose the face-off, they win the possession. They are so strategic at attacking opposing teams after they win with double teams, time double teams. And the relentless approach of everyone involved in the action on that side of the field.
Here's Walker looking to dodge on Chismar. Pat Kavanagh up top. Down the alley. Got just a little sliver on Castor, but wasn't able to make it work. Here's Chris. Back upfield. Up top to McCahon. Dobson. In our conversations this week with Lars Tiffany, he called Dobson a problem. Walker. Help comes. Still plenty of time. 16 seconds on the shot clock for Kavanagh. Pass inside to Walker. Can't connect. Now loose ball in front of the crease. Bodies are flying. Virginia comes out of there with it.
You know, you said something I thought was really interesting. Pat Kavanagh had a little bit of a step, a sliver, as Virginia can't clear the ball. But watch the close defense of Virginia. 39, Cole Kastner. 11, Cade Sawstead. Even when you get a step, they're so long, they recover. Because they're 6'6", 6'7". And they'll trail check you as well. So if any of the Kavanaghs get that separation, they have to tuck their stick.
Now Tevlin, Gray, and Simmons, this second midfield unit for the Irish. Here's Tevlin. Down the alley, he'll shoot. Misses. Backed up by Chris Kavanagh. Stays with the Irish. I'm going to reset the shot clock to 60, so apparently Noon's got a piece of that. It's an 80-second shot clock in college lacrosse. They reset it to 60 if there's a shot on goal.
Look at the length.
Gray, double teamed, looking inside. Kavanagh. Tevlin turns, can't get much on the shot. Still 36 to shoot for Notre Dame.
If I'm Pat Kavanagh, the way that I'm approaching the dodge against Cole Kastner, 39 in blue, is I'm space speed dodging him. Almost like outside of the box is where the dodge has to start. Because inside, he just recovers too quickly.
Simmons. Chris Kavanagh makes one move.
I think there was a moving pick inside.
Turnover on Notre Dame. Sawstead, he's no stranger to punt return either. Great high school football player in the Dallas area.
Wide receiver. What a target, right?
Played at Highland Park. There's a lot of good football being played there. So if you're a starting wide receiver on a Highland Park team that wins a state championship, a pretty good football player.
What Super Bowl winning quarterbacks from Highland Park?
Is it, hang on, I know. Matt Stafford?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Big Griffin shuts. McConvey. Shoots. You're not going to beat Entman with that shot. Look at this beautiful outlet, too. Boyer. Can he track it down? Yes. Gray. Check that, Harris. Little unsettled in front. Bad pass. Taylor couldn't connect with Kavanagh. Maybe a little bit, just a little rattled. Notre Dame offensively. Cormier.
Number one, you've been hearing the hype, right? This is a team, though, Kevin Corrigan's been so impressed with the internal leadership of this program, how focused they've been.
Really giving it to the officials. That's nothing new. Yeah, you're right. He's talked about how the leadership is they're not walking around campus with their number one fingers up in the air. Connor, the extra pass inside. Xander can't get the shot off. Too much traffic. Now the battle for the loose ball. Garno picks it up, keeps possession for Virginia. A lot of time, no reason to panic. Got a stick on the ground as well. Connors back behind the Shellenberger. Going to use that Connor pick. No rolls around the other side. Xander in front. He scores. That's too easy.
Virginia is the nation's leading scoring team for a reason. They've got skill, so you can't turn the ball over and give this offense opportunities that shouldn't exist. Connor Shellenberger right here dissects the D, and look at the shooting by Xander Dickson. It might seem simple, but he catches it at his ear. Where does he finish, Chris?
Low.
Right at Entenmann's feet. Entenmann's a big boy, 6'3", takes up a ton of the cage. Beat him by the ankles. You're not beating him up top with no angle.
LaSalle has come back with a vengeance in this battle with his face-off nemesis, Will Lynch. 6 out of 7 face-offs won by Petey LaSalle today.
He's feeling it. He's in a groove. So Notre Dame likes to 10-man ride, full court press at varied times throughout the course of the game. This might be a way to kind of offset some of those face-off losses.
Schutz, big head of steam, misses though. Entenmann barking instructions to his defense in front of him. Final minute of play in this first quarter. Irish scored first. It's been 5 in a row for the Wahoos since. Will Corey. Schutz spins to his left. Now help comes. Just so strong, it's hard to dislodge the ball from him, but the errant pass to McConvey means a turnover.
That's a costly one because I think Lars Tiffany and offensive coordinator Sean Kerwin want that last shot of the first quarter and not give the Irish any momentum.
Virginia famous for their ride as well. Not 10-manning in this particular case, though, but Notre Dame's in trouble. Got to get it across the midfield line. They just do. But now Fake is in trouble as he tries to bounce it off a Virginia defender. And it's going to stay Notre Dame. He actually did a really good job of bouncing that off the defender. Virginia coaches don't agree with it, but I think that was the good call.
A little luck of the Irish.
They need it right now. Final 10 seconds. Kavanagh. Tevlin gonna have to come back upfield. Nowhere to go. To get to, off the top of the crossbar, high. Jake Taylor, and then at the very end, Sawstead gets dumped.
Payton, Cormier, and Jake Taylor will be an inside crease man chess match this game. Mark my words. Taylor rung the pipe on that last one, but it's been all Cavaliers. The top passer in the country came to the party in Connor Shellenberger, and Payton Cormier has been the finisher.
Notre Dame hasn't lost since exactly a year ago. March 26th of last year, Virginia led the entire game. Connor Shellenberger had 3 goals and 2 assists. The next week, Jake Taylor scored 8 goals against Syracuse, and Notre Dame was a different team. They won their final 6 games last year, and they're 6-0 coming into this one this year.
Last time they lost, but it also was an opportunity to see what an offense looks like when you have 2 Kavanaghs with Jake Taylor. Because Jake Taylor, along with Payton Cormier, do it as well as any players in the country in terms of closing it out on the offensive end in front of the crease. You give them a sliver, they are automatic.
Look at the ride from Chris Kavanagh trying to get into Noon's head. Virginia does one thing Q always says: do not try and clear the ball in front of the box. Virginia does it successfully there, but they lose possession.
Yeah, you get doubled. That easy substitution, if it's timed properly as well, jumps right into a double.
So the Irish get the ball back, and this is what they're going to have to do here, right? If they lose the face-off battle, and they're losing it emphatically, they're going to have to get possessions back on the defensive end and in the middle of the field, and that's what they did.
And Virginia's going to stay aggressive with a 10-man ride. You saw Matthew Nunes, the goalie, 41 in blue, come out and be part of that ride, that full court press.
Quinn McCahon, 15 with the ball in his cross. One of the most versatile players in the country. Over to Dobson. Here's Walker. Back to his left. Connor checking him, speaking of versatile. Dobson. Inside, good look, and a great save by Nunes. And a great outlet as well. Here comes Chismar. Open Soliday, rather, one of the captains of this team. He gets an open look, fires it high.
What a pass by Eric Dobson. Aiton White, the midfielder, I think is a first-team All-American. That's where he's evolved so much. You know about him as a stretch shooter with the left hand. He's had some dime-like passes this season. Bryce Walker has to close that out. He needs to finish like Xander Dickson did, right? Catch that ball right by your head and finish. at Nunes' feet, not at his stick.
Shellenberger. Cormier, no angle. Now he takes the defender out, though, and bounces it high.
That was sweet, right? Fooled the entire defense.
I bet a big contingent of his family made the trip. They drive all over the place. Short drive from his home in Ontario. Relatively short drive compared to some of the places they go. Connor spins back to his right. Told you about how versatile McCahon is, but that leaves an open look for Schutz, and Entenmann shuts the door.
You're talking about versatility at the midfield. That's Quinn McCahon playing defense against Jeff Connor, 15 in white, 4 in blue, along with Brian Tevlin. You can't ask for better two-way middies. In this game, you might have 3 of the best or the best.
Stay on the field.
Stay on the field. In a day and age of specialization, these guys are old school.
Tevlin, number 12, on the field. He can play on both sides. Gray gets by his defender. Now head up. Kavanagh inside. Tried a really tough pass to Taylor. Couldn't get it to go through. Notre Dame forcing it a little bit sometimes on 6v6.
And it's the length of Virginia that makes you look at passing lanes a little differently, right? What's typical for you in terms of a passing lane is different today because of the length of Virginia. 6'7", 6'6". Those guys will get their sticks up and make you think.
Thought Sawston might take a shot. Instead, gets to an offensive player, Patrick McIntosh. Exploded onto the scene when Cormier was hurt at Hopkins. 6 goals in that game?
On 7 shots.
Now to Garno. You said it before the game. You want him and Riley on the other side to shoot a little bit more from the outside, don't you?
Yes. Garno is a guy that can drive a golf ball 300 yards. He uses his hips the same way with a nasty 3-quarter release shot that's right around 100 miles an hour.
Piped it. Looked like it beat Entenmann, but it hit the far pipe. So McIntosh not able to finish. And we remain scoreless here so far in the second quarter between these two teams.
They're 10-man in again.
Deep pass. I think when you think about it,
mission accomplished, right?
Right. I mean, the hope was that Chris Conlon wanted to get a shot off, so if he had a man backing it up, it would stay with Notre Dame.
They keep the ball, but that's what the 10-man does, right? Put you in those spots. It's going to be a pass. It's going to be a shot, right? And then you got to race to the end line, be closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds.
That was kind of a tweener shot and pass from Conlon. Didn't work out for Notre Dame. So now Virginia with possession again. They've owned the faceoff dot, so you would think that they would own the ground ball stat, and they have, and they've dominated in possession. Schutz rolls back to his left. He's open now.
See how guys just bounce off of him? I mean, that dude is an absolute beast. Griffin Schutz, 26 in blue, 6'3", 225 pounds of pure muscle, has a neck like the Hulk.
Got Shellenberger on a shorty here. He'll look to find a teammate. Quick passing, Schutz. Still 25 to shoot for Shellenberger. He takes a quick look at the shot clock. He's still on. McCahon tried to get it to Dickson inside. They can't quite connect. Now a loose ball. Oh, big hit. You saw that coming. Picked up by Boyer.
They got numbers.
Boyer can run. He may take a shot. He does and scores! That lights up the fans here at Arlotta.
Fifth-year senior. A grinder. A heartbeat type of guy. Mucks it up on the defensive end. This is all 46 in white, Jose Boyer. You have Chris Kavanagh at the point. You're thinking, that's the one-time shooter, right? Catches it and rips. Boyer says, no, not today. This is my play.
Like so many from that area of the country, Boyer, a legend from Yorktown, right, Kark?
Great kid. Jose Boyer, Brett Makar, 2 Yorktown defenders. All-American type players. Makar for the Terps. But Virginia was daring Boyer to shoot. They were way more concerned with Kavanagh, and Taylor, rightfully so, but he made him eat it.
Hagstrom wins that draw. A lot of life now with the Irish. That goal broke a 5-0 scoring streak by the Cavaliers.
And you felt the stadium kind of exhale, right? You felt it.
And that was a big face-off from Hagstrom coming off that goal, too. Back with possession. They can get 2 in a row. It's a different game. Kavanagh and Sawstead. Tevlin shoots high.
Dobson, Ayton White, I think, has a matchup. They're short sticking him. And Grayson Soliday is a terrific short stick defender. But Dobson's 6'3", 230. And he can feed now. So I think you got to have a dose of him.
Here he is on Soliday. He can shoot lefty, definitely on the run. Instead, he got it to Taylor again off the crossbar. That's twice. 60 seconds now for Notre Dame again. So an extended defensive possession for Virginia.
Eight's going to draw a slide, and he can pass. You saw it on that last play. I think Dobson has emerged into a superstar-type player.
Kavanagh trying to get to the middle of the field. Can't get free to Dobson. Here you go again on Soliday. This time it's back to his left. Tried to go low, and Nunes didn't know where it was, but he was able to get enough of it.
Nunes looks a lot more comfortable, and it was so critical he got off to that good start, because his last 3 outings he struggled in the first half, and you have to think his confidence was rattled. And to come on the road against the #1 team in the nation, to make saves like that, you turn the page on the past.
Now the Wahoos will settle in midway through this second quarter. Garno. Behind to Shellenberger. Checked by Conlon. Up top to McConvey. Shellenberger. Nifty pass inside. A lot of these passes I'm seeing from both these teams, Clark, in traffic. It's Virginia's length and then the quickness for Notre Dame to get in those passing lanes.
Quickness and discipline. It's like engraved in them. This Notre Dame defense is not super complex. It's simple, but it's actually hard, right? Because you're demanded to master it.
Watch this. Shellenberger takes an extra step and scores. Nothing Entenmann can do about that one. The turnover in the middle of the field on that 10-man ride. 2-on-1. Shellenberger buries it.
Watch where he buries this. The costly turnover allows Shellenberger to can this shot. It's the turnover in the middle of the field. And watch Shellenberger when he catches it. It's the subtle little plant of the foot that increases the angle and gets Entenmann off his line. Masterful IQ from One in Blue.
To our score, 6:37 left in this first half. Connor Shellenberger's had a big game so far, and he took advantage of the turnover in the middle of the field here, Kark. 2-on-1.
Yeah, and I just love the way that he banana roots his way to that goal. He plants his left foot, gets the defender to bite, and then increases his angle, and then gets Entenmann, who's a big, wide goalie, off his pipe.
We talked about at the beginning of the game how Shellenberger is the quarterback. He distributes, he makes everybody else better, but so many players on this team are able to find the back of the net, and that's what we're seeing today.
He's playing aggressive, too. Last week, I think, marinated with him earlier in the week in terms of his prep because of Ajax Zapatello at Maryland, what he did to him in that one-on-one matchup. That was all Zapatello. Shellenberger's too good. He's too competitive not to rebound. He's got 4 points already, and he's been the best player on the field.
Big-time ground ball from Boyer. The face-off game is about the clamp. It's about how quick and how strong the face-off man is, but it's also about the wing play, and it's about picking up ground balls, and Boyer was brilliant on that play.
It's about the wing play, because the wing play and the way that you press the face-off specialist after he wins can change the complexion of how you look at face-offs, right? Is it about the face-off win, or is it about the possession win? It's only about the possession win.
Gray. Nunes almost got a hand on that pass. Instead, Kavanagh coming upfield. He'll try and go back to his right. No angle. Nunes stones him.
Yeah, the only shot that would have worked there is behind the back. He lost his angle. And I'm telling you, Chris, Cade Sawstead, 11 in blue, and Cole Kastner, 39 in blue, as Notre Dame just relentlessly rides.
Kavanagh tried to get a shot off with the empty net. Instead, he loses his cross. Got a defender in net now for Virginia. Nunes gets back, and it goes in. It looked like Nunes initially might have made the save, but it trickled in past Sawstead. Just a disastrous clear for Virginia, and the Irish take advantage.
The Berm's feeling it. They sense some life in the Irish. 2 of the 3 goals came from grinders. Jose Boyer. And now this time Ben Ramsey, 24 in white, who mucks it up on the defensive end all the time. He gets on the field as a short stick defensive midfielder, stays on in the attack zone. When he catches that ball, I'm like, he doesn't have the angle. But he sneaks it past Nunes. And when Boyer's scoring goals and when Ramsey's scoring goals, the bench and the berm feel it.
That is one way to get and stay warm on a day like today. Ramsey's second of the year for the D-Midi. And Notre Dame's relentless ride pays dividends, 6-3. Hagstrom has been holding his own against LaSalle. Petey wins this draw.
Notre Dame not a 10-man like Virginia has been. But Chris, if you turn on games from last week, Virginia, Maryland, this week, Virginia, Notre Dame, down at Charlottesville and South Bend, if you're thinking about the size of a lacrosse venue or the way that it should be built, look at those 2 venues, Klockner, Arlotta. These places are amazing.
Here's Ricky Miezan, the former Stanford linebacker. Shellenberger working on Conlon. Gets to the middle of the field. Xander Dickson picked. Now Dickson gets it back. He fires off the pipe.
Fresh shot clock at 60, the reset. You saw Shellenberger saying, calm down.
Dickson on McCahon. He's got to like this matchup. Can he make it work? Instead, they get it behind to Jack Simmons. He's inverted now. Going up against Marco Napolitano. Dickson. Help comes, but he gets it up top to Miezan. Scores! Miezan had 11 tackles for the football team in the last 2 Stanford Notre Dame football games, and now he scores a goal against the Irish on the lacrosse field. When you talk to Lars Tiffany, he says sidearm shots on Enneman are hard, but sidearm shots on a wet turf, as Ricky Miezan, a linebacker who would bring the pain in the middle of a football field, shows you his brute force as a shooter. But you saw the ball just fly off that wet turf. And Entenmann is going to have a tough time tracking a shot like that. If he goes sidearm and he doesn't use the turf there, Entenmann probably gobbles that up. But how fast it came off the turf made Entenmann guess a little bit. But I think Ricky, I've been saying this for the last few weeks, I'd like to see more of him. Banged up a little bit, missed the Hopkins game with a shoulder injury, getting a little bit more minutes. That's his 5th goal of the year. But if you roll out McConvey, Schutz, and Miezan together, crazy. That is pure beef. Probably bigger than the starting linebacking core for the Virginia football team. Shellenberger on a shorty. Takes the shot too high. I was surprised he got that open. Yeah, I think he was aiming for a corner because he knew LaSalle was behind the cage alone and would get the backup, so it was all or nothing. LaSalle tries a dangerous pass. We get a whistle. We get a timeout here first. Looks like we did. But when he does, he targets certain places on his team that he can get some help. You got Miezan, McConvey in the midfield this year in the offseason. It's really helped. McIntosh. Inside, Simmons. Oh, Entenmann goes down and robs him. the 10-man ride. Nowhere for Entenmann to go. Gets it to McCahon here, near side. He's going to shoot it into the goal. It's too high. Race to the end line, won by Kavanagh.
Closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds. I thought Matsui was closer.
Real close.
To the end line, maybe Chris Kavanagh, but that's not the rule. The rule is closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds.
Dobson, he shoots too high.
It's almost automatic that he's making a play. It's just a matter of him finding the back of the net. Like, how do you defend Eric Dobson when he starts feeding the way he does? If you don't slide, he's going to get those type of looks.
Here's Walker. Kavanagh. Slide comes on Dobson. Tough angle shot, scores, beats Nunes.
Couple of Long Island boys who played a lot of summer lacrosse together. For Mike Chanichuk on one end, it's Liam Entenmann, the redshirt junior, All-American, gobbling up. There's Pat Kavanagh. Those stutter steps, I think, take Cole Kastner off his line. Because if you stay straight with him, he finds his range and he gobbles you up. Those little stutter steps make all the difference because Kavanagh is so quick. And for Kastner to match that reaction, he just doesn't have the feet to keep up with him.
Final 2 minutes from South Bend. Will Lynch going to take this draw against LaSalle.
When quickness matches length, quickness wins if it's in space. If it's in the body, length wins.
Will Donovan trying to pick up that loose ball, can't do it. Lynch gets it though. In a lot of trouble though. Runs out of it. And clears it himself. Irish wanted to get a slash, won't get it.
I'd roll Dobson out. I know that they've been using these two lines equally, but Ayton White's just an outlier.
Gray got his hands free though and shoots it too high.
You know, if this was the middle of the quarter, different story, but a minute left in that second quarter, a little bit different.
Just about a 40-second difference in shot clock and game clock. Check that, it's about a 20-second difference. Big battle for the loose ball. Originally, you had Castor come out of there with it, but he loses it out of bounds. Stays with the Irish. 45 seconds. Virginia coach is screaming at the officials. I think maybe Virginia wanted a timeout when the ball was dead, didn't get it. Tevlin. Gets shut off. Behind the back, scores Jake Taylor. And Lars Tiffany is incensed. Threw his hat down at the officials. He wanted a timeout, didn't get it. Notre Dame and Jake Taylor took advantage.
He knows you don't want to give momentum going to the half. This goal by Jake Taylor is exactly why he is an elite finisher. He's covered here, Chris, but Tevlin keeps his eyes up, times that double, and the stick of Cade Sawstead is on Jake Taylor, but it doesn't matter as Lars Tiffany goes nuts on the officials. That stick was on his top side. Jake Taylor knows if he tried to shoot righty there, Cade Sawstead was going to disrupt that flow, that follow through. Instead, what do? You go backhand and Entenmann can't track it. Genius.
First start for Taylor today since injuring his ACL last summer. He's been getting more and more minutes, but finally got the start today. LaSalle lets it go out of bounds. 13.2 to go. Possession to Virginia. Shellenberger. Cormier. Great job defensively by Harris. Picked up by Boyer. And the horn sounds. Virginia can't get a shot off in the final seconds of that first half. And in a game that Virginia really wrested control away from the Irish early, has turned into a really good game at the half because Notre Dame fought back into it.
Once again,
Marcus Freeman brought his Notre Dame football team here. As soon as they walked onto the field, they kind of made their way in the far corner,
it's
right
amazing.
underneath the scoreboard, and the crowd lit up like, all right, now we've got the support of the football team. We've got a standing room only crowd here at Arlotta today. The atmosphere belying how cruddy the weather is here. Beautiful atmosphere, terrible weather.
You got to love the offensive linemen, right? No shirts.
Doesn't bother them.
38 degrees, raining.
Balmy spring day.
Yeah, that's going to give juice to the Irish. I mean, this football program traditionally for the last 100 years is different. When those guys roll out and they support you, it means something.
Lars Tiffany was really hot going into that half after Notre Dame scored a goal in the final minute. Let's see how Virginia responds. McConvey, he shoots too wide. Backed up by Shellenberger. It'll stay with Virginia, 42 to shoot. Shellenberger, Connor pick. Fake comes over the top. Now Connor has his defender, a shorty, hung up. Pass to Dickson. Tough angle off the pipe. Big time ground ball that time by Conlon. Boyer lets it go to Kavanagh.
Xander Dickson with the same kind of shot as the one he scored in the first quarter. High to low on Entenmann. Entenmann with the foot save.
Chris Kavanagh gets his hand free and scores on the jump shot.
What a scene. When they stepped on this field, on the berm, as we entered the third quarter, you just felt like, oh boy, here we go. The atmosphere went from electric to berserk. And Chris Kavanagh with 2 goals on the afternoon. One as a stretch shooter, this one through the air with his offhand, the lefty. Understands the crease and the recognition to tiptoe around that area. We got a party at Arlotta.
It is a 1-goal game. 3 straight now for the Irish. Lynch battling with Petey. Petey gets the better of him on this draw. Lynch relentless though, won't give up. Soliday waits for number 33, Garno. He'll shoot. Entenmann makes the save. Tries to hit the open net, just too high.
There's the 10-man. Virginia has been in that look for the majority of the game. They take Nunes out of the cage, the empty net. It's all about the backup. Chris Cav, prior goal scorer. Against Matsui, 22 in blue. Kind of mix and matching the matchups there. Was Cade Sawstead on Kavanagh prior.
Dobson shoots, bouncer. Nunes makes the save. Battle for the loose ball. Sawstead. Now we'll get a flag. Kavanagh and Sawstead were battling for it. Goes out of bounds. Let's get the call from our officials.
I think we're going to get a push on Sawstead. I mean, that call right by the football team. Injecting life into the Irish. When you're a Kavanagh, ground balls are different. You are relentless and you approach it with ferocity. Best ground ball in Notre Dame lacrosse history. Tied in the quarterfinals against Albany in overtime. Kavanagh with that ground ball and his two younger brothers. You know he instilled that from day one. You could score all the goals you want, young Chris, young Pat. If you don't get ground balls, don't come home.
Matt Kavanagh with that ground ball would eventually score the game winner in overtime. Call against Sawstead, man up for the Irish. Deadly man up unit, second best in the country, tied with the team they're playing today, Virginia. 62.5%. Griffin Westland, man up specialist, 31, puts it in play.
The problem if you're facing this man up offense, Dobson's the stretch shooter, but you also have to deal with Jake Taylor, who's not in right now. You have Ricciardelli, 0 and white.
Dobson thought about it, gets it to Kavanagh.
Oh no, you have Ricciardelli and Taylor, so two finishers inside the stretch shooter.
Kavanagh shoots, scores!
When you have a player like Eric Dobson who has a bazooka of a shot, teams will shade. So if the next player in the rotation can shoot from the outside, the looks will be there. You see, they're too concerned with Dobson. All the eyes are on Dobson. They leave Pat Kavanagh alone. And the one thing that he has emerged in the offseason in terms of his shooting is his range. We've seen it game in and game out as the big boys are celebrating the All-Americans righty rip.
The Kavanaghs are heating up today. You can see both with a couple goals. Last time we were tied was one apiece in the early going in this game. It's been all Irish, 4 in a row, knotted at 7. Big battle in the middle of the field, picked up by Jose. Boyer has been a vacuum in the middle of the field today for Notre Dame.
And that's the wing play. You mentioned it, Chris, in the second quarter. That wasn't a clean face-off win for Notre Dame. It didn't matter because the wing play, when it became 50-50, was all Notre Dame.
Irish looking to take their first lead since the first goal of this game. Walker making the call on Chismar. Trying to come back upfield, Chismar all over. Quick passing, Simmons. Gets it to Tevlin on Zinn. Kavanagh shoots. Nunes is there to stone him.
That's the look you want. Pat Kavanagh normally is way more selective in terms of his shot placement. Coming above goal line extended. He's done that 100 times. Just hits Nunes in the chest.
Kastner gets it to Zinn. Zinn now to McConvey. Both teams will sub out.
Want your offense back into a rhythm? Get the ball behind to Shellenberger.
Cormier. Over to the far side to Connor. Got to the middle of the field, tried to make the extra pass to McConvey. Stays in the field of play. And Shellenberger tracks it down.
How does Virginia adjust? Kevin Corrigan said it best. Virginia makes adjustments. They pick a scab. They find out what you're doing. And Sean Kerwin, their offensive coordinator, is so good at countering defensive scheme and pressure.
Boy, how quickly did he get that off? And it comes right into the stick of Xander Dickson, and he finishes. That shot by Schutz is so quick, those hands.
It's so quick and it's so hard. And when you shoot that hard, Liam Entenmann's a goalie who doesn't give up a ton of rebounds, but when the ball's screaming, and I think the reason he let it that rebound too is he starts getting low and he punches his hand high, Chris, to make the save. So he makes the save, but it forces a rebound. gets him low, baits him, punches with his top hand, but that creates the rebound. And Xander Dickson, like anyone in basketball, you attack the boards. He gets that easy rebound of a goal.
Virginia retakes the lead. At exactly the 10-minute mark. Hagstrom now back to take the draw for Notre Dame. Won by Petey.
We got a game, partner. We got a game. We got an atmosphere. We got a game. We got 1 versus 3.
About everything you could possibly want for the final 25 minutes of this contest. And I got you driving me back to O'Hare in a snowstorm afterwards. So I'm going to enjoy this while I can.
You good with that?
I'm good with this game. We'll fight that battle when we have to. Miezan knocks his defender over, takes the shot. Great angle here. It was just a little wide.
What did I tell you about the laws of physics? Right? That's 230 pounds against 200 pounds. With momentum.
The quintessential bull dodge. Now Shellenberger, who's a little more slick, finds a cutting Xander Dickson. What a play. That is quintessential Virginia.
Miezan lays the boom. Makes a statement in terms of, okay, if you're going to defend me, you're going to have to deal with this. And the backup is there. And this pass by Shellenberger is absolutely amazing. The timing and the accuracy. And if you watch Xander Dickson, 10 in blue, what he does as well as anyone, back pipe cuts. He's losing his angle, and he one-times, and he knows that he has the best passer in America feeding him. Just got to give him a little window.
Dickson came into this game 4th in the country in goals per game, and he has 3 more.
That pass was ridiculous.
And the finish, too, the one-timer. That's another thing Xander Dickson does so beautifully. In and out of the cross in lightning quickness. Violation against Petey. That's a rarity. So Hagstrom forces it. And it's possession to the Irish.
Yeah, when you cut from the back pipe, normally you come out of that cut with little angle. So you have to finish quick. And that's what Xander Dickson does.
Back to a 2-goal advantage for the Wahoos. McCahon on Soliday. Back up top to Kavanagh. Nice pass inside. Shot just wide by Gray.
Yeah, Gray caught that, but he didn't stare down the cage. Kind of one-timed it with his head upfield as opposed to catching, staring down the goal just for a fraction of a second.
45 seconds to shoot, so plenty of time for the Irish. McCahon, again looking to dodge, using a pick from Kavanagh. Gets inside, but can't get a shot off. The double team was there. Now Nunes comes out of there with it. Going to get a call against Virginia. Again to the disbelief of Lars Tiffany. Now our officiating crew will chat about it. Mark McGinnis, Josh Blaisdell, Nick Kahn, our officials today.
Tell you what, Quinn McCahon, 15 in white. They want to reset?
He's going to reset the shot clock.
Quinn McCahon, because of the push, 15 in white, logs more minutes than anyone on this field, right? Jeff Connor for Virginia would be second.
Oh, look out here. Kavanagh. Nope. Can't get it to go.
It's snowing.
Yep, here now you got the snow. You got everything else today. Why not bring the snow? Chismar looking to run away from Riley. In a lot of trouble in front of the Irish net. That's dangerous, but he gets it to Nunes.
As a fan, I'll take snow anytime over rain.
Always. You guys sideline reporting for football games too. I know you.
I always tell people,
forecast is huge for you guys.
38 to 48 in rain is as bad as it gets.
Yeah, snow is always
snow,
better.
you deal with it.
Shuts. You're going to give him that kind of room? Oh, he didn't shoot it though.
I thought he could have, Chris.
Yeah. Instead, he gets it to Shellenberger on the wing. Look who Shellenberger's on. McCann. It's ridiculous.
This guy's unbelievable. He's on the field nonstop. Now he has to defend maybe the best player in the country.
Help comes in the form of Will Donovan. Shuts. He's on fake now. McIntosh shoots, scores on the run.
McIntosh, when he got his first start at Homewood Field earlier this month, he was 6 for 7 shooting. There's very little net to look at when you're staring down Liam Entenmann, an All-American goalie who's 6'3" with a wide base. McIntosh delivers.
On the season, 3 straight goals for Virginia since we were tied at 7 apiece. Dickson's 5th hat trick this year.
Yeah, the back cut, right? When you can back cut like that and you end up on that far pipe, you have no time to finish, and that's what Dickson does, man. Wow.
Petey won the clamp, but he kicked it out of bounds trying to pick up the loose ball, so it's Notre Dame's ball. The Irish had a lot of juice early in this second half, didn't they? The football team was here. Snow started falling. They got a couple of quick goals. But Virginia took that punch in the mouth and fought right back.
It was a big counter, right? Because you felt the momentum. You felt the stadium. The shift was there. And the Cavaliers, they answered.
Chris rolls back, but he can't hang on to the ball. Soliday gets it to Nunes. Good look for Nunes. Finds Chismar in the middle of the field. He loses his footing. We'll get a push in the back here against the Irish.
We got 2 fouls on 2 different players.
Oh, the Virginia Cavaliers can't take advantage. Soliday's pass goes wide. Let's get our calls here.
I think you're going to have 2-man up for Virginia because one foul was all the way on the other end. One was towards the midfield.
Yep. Dobson will get a push in the back.
I think we have 2 pushes.
Yeah, 2 30-second pushes. This is the second one right here.
This is the second one, yeah. So Dobson. The other one was on the far end towards the goal area.
Right, beginning of the play.
Yes. So now it's 6-on-4. This is, when you play them 6-on-6, it's one thing. 6-on-5, okay.
What are you trying to do here then if you're Notre Dame?
You almost have to allow an outside shot. You have to pack it inside. You have to be okay with Garno or McConvey shooting from the outside.
Here's McConvey. Opts not to shoot. Shellenberger opts not to shoot. Here's Garno.
That's the look, right? Because you're 6-on-4. You have to protect the paint. You're in a tight box inside with 4 against their 6. The outside shooter's going to get a look.
Will be Shellenberger. Tried that quick pass. Tevlin was in the passing lane, though.
You don't need to skip pass if you're Shellenberger there.
Now full strength. Garno will get one last look. Again, wide left.
That's on Cage, right? That's the look you want if you're Virginia. And Notre Dame escapes an extra man unit in Virginia at 62%, one of the best in the country.
Yep, 2-man up. Bouncer. Nothing doing. There's Xander backing it up, so still 37 seconds to shoot for Virginia. The pressure's still on the Irish. Shellenberger on fake. Xander Dickson, beautiful passing, and Dickson finishes again. It's like Shellenberger feels him there. He doesn't even see him there.
He's playing off the charts. 1 in blue, Connor Shellenberger. His head's always up. He's played in space the entire time. He's not allowing Chris Fake to get in his body. Chris Fake will slam you if you play the pressure game. But Xander Dickson, again, back pipe cut. It's unbelievable. If you're Virginia, the way that you could beat Notre Dame is finding the windows inside. In the first half, it was Cormier. He was finding it. So then Notre Dame adjusts. Sean Kerwin picks the scab, and what's the counter? It's no longer Cormier, it's the other inside guy in Xander Dickson.
2, 4, and 6 for Shellenberger today. The lead is back to 4. We'll get a flag here. We'll get a push in the back against Virginia. This one's going to go against Scott Bauer, the LSM, so now Notre Dame with an opportunity to counter and a man up. Irish already 1 for 1 today, extra man.
There's Bergmaster. Yeah, that's a blatant push by Bauer.
You knew it. Fans on the berm knew it. Bauer will take a knee, and we'll get a chance to see this equally deadly man-up team for Notre Dame.
Okay, again, you have 2 finishers inside in this unit too, right? Jake Taylor, 13 in white. Jeffery Ricciardelli, 0. Virginia has the 2 inside guys. So now if you're Virginia defensively, you have to protect the inside. That's why Dobson and Kavanagh up top. One of those guys most likely will have an option. They're shutting Dobson. Now they're playing 5-on-4.
Westland running for his life, tries to get it to Chris Kavanagh. He does. Up top to Pat. The wind and the snow is howling inside. Extra pass. Chris Kavanagh dips underneath the defender. Taylor couldn't wrap it around Nunes. Kavanagh gives chase though. Finds it now to Pat. We're at even strength. Inside. Scores Ricciardelli.
Both these teams have it. Big time inside game. Virginia rolls out Cormier. Dickson. Notre Dame has Jake Taylor. And while he was sidelined, the starter at attack was Jeffery Ricciardelli, who finishes with the left hand and has the softest hands maybe on the squad. He was open due to that quick ball movement, right? Virginia decided to play chaos in the beginning of that man down. And then Notre Dame found its groove a little bit. And by the time Virginia was all settled, Notre Dame still had that seam inside, like they weren't completely regrouped. They were settled numbers-wise, 6-on-6, but there's always that 10 extra seconds to strike.
Virginia has had success in runs today. A 5-goal run in the first half, a 4-goal here in the second. That run was just broken by the Irish. Look at that ground ball picked up by Kavanagh. Will he take a shot? No. Pulls it back out.
Outside of the face-off specialist, Will Lynch, the 2 best ground ball guys statistically on this team. Chris, who are they?
The Kavanagh brothers.
The Kavanaghs, attackmen. That is rare.
Your 2 best offensive players are the best off the ground.
It's the hockey background. The family absolutely loves the New York Rangers. They grew up playing hockey. The toughness, the leverage, and the hands allow them to gobble it up.
McCahon on Zinn. Taylor couldn't quite handle the pass to get a shot off. Still lots of time for Pat Kavanagh. Kastner on him, giving chase. Comes over the screen. Stays with him. Now to Chris Kavanagh. On Sawstead. Behind the cage to McCahon. Gets Chismar on him. Can he take advantage? Nowhere to go. And Kavanagh loses it on the pass. A rare unforced error for Pat Kavanagh. Gives the ball back to Virginia.
Just took his eye off that ball for a fraction of a second. Not happy with himself. At some point in time, will we see Notre Dame's 10-man?
Connor. Another one of those two-way guys. Invaluable. Both of these coaches cannot talk enough about players like Jeff Connor, Quinn McCahon, Brian Tevlin, like we've talked about. Stay on the field. McConvey is a player you can't stop talking about, and that's for good reason.
You can't give the highest scoring team in America extra chances. Unforced turnovers will crush you. That time, the basic, easy exchange between McCahon and Kavanagh. You saw the frustration and the backdoor cut by two teammates who speak the same language. 24 in blue, Payton Cormier, 12 in blue. Thomas McConvey have been teammates since the age of 4. You can't tell me they haven't done that before. The give and go.
McConvey scores a lot of goals. That's his 17th on the year. He might not have an easier one than that. Lead back up to 4. Final couple of minutes of this third quarter. Now Matsui in a little bit of trouble. Relentless ride of the Kavanaghs. Petey, he still has it, but he's in a lot of trouble in the middle of the field. Notre Dame gets it back. Boyer. This is just a battle right now. Look at the players being slung down to the field. No call. No call. Can Shellenberger take advantage? The pass inside. Xander Dickson does.
Do you remember who was a first-team All-American as a midfielder in 2021 as a freshman? It's Connor Shellenberger. He's so accustomed to making plays behind the cage, but also because of that year up top. So once Shellenberger gets this after this massive scrum, bodies flying everywhere, the hit by Virginia allows the ground ball, and he has a shorty on him. It is go time. Quick change of direction, head up. His left's as good as his right. He's got options, and the patience not to press and to give it to the money man, Xander Dickson.
Hagstrom here against Petey. Again, the Irish are able to pick up the ground ball, but turn it over. That time it was Will Donovan. Did a nice job picking it up off the ground. Couldn't keep it.
They were down on faceoffs 14-9 going into that one. They get that much needed faceoff. And what they typically do to other teams when they lose, have the other teams turn over, that's what happened to them. You have to capitalize on the wins when LaSalle is feeling his groove.
Miezan. Now up top to McIntosh.
I didn't see this counter punch from Virginia coming, did you?
You know they have it in them. But
no, of course, but the momentum.
All the momentum, everything was pointing toward Notre Dame. They had come back to even the game. Football team was on the berm, getting them fired up. Full house here at Arlotta. In this third quarter, what a great job by Virginia to take that punch, Notre Dame's best shot, and fight back and reforge this lead. The wind and the snow howling here in South Bend. Shellenberger on fake. Big collision behind the cage. And they're going to call an illegal pick.
Yeah, moving pick by McIntosh, 18 in blue. The Irish, they can get one here, closing seconds.
It'd be huge. Ramsey, head up, looking for a player, looking for an offensive player. There's one in McCahon. Still 15 seconds, plenty of time. McCahon down the alley, shoots and scores, deflects it in. That's a big juice goal for the Irish. Had to have it.
You know the devices that track the mileage in practice and games? I have to see Quinn McCann's. This guy hasn't left the field. This is ridiculous. This is like old school Braveheart type lacrosse at a 15 and white. He doesn't leave the field. This time he has the short stick matchup. That little stutter step allows him to get the separation, and as he's losing the angle, Nunes gets a piece, but not enough.
Watch Petey here on this draw at 23. He has a knack of winning it to himself and going down and getting a quick shot off. 10.8 remaining in this third quarter. Hagstrom wins possession, gets it to Boyer, they can score again. Oh, tried to feed it to Tevlin. Right in front of the goal, too. That might have crossed up Nunes.
Tevlin substituting on the face-off because of the way they had to manipulate it for who? Jake Taylor, right? Because they're putting an extra pole on the face-off to stop LaSala. But now you had to take Taylor off. Taylor catches that and finishes it, Connor.
It certainly is a part of the chess game that we've seen today in South Bend. 13-7 after 3. The Irish with all the momentum early in the second half. Virginia took that punch, offered up one of their own.
He's played that matchup beautifully.
There you can see the numbers for Shellenberger and Dickson. They have been just that, a dynamic duo today. 15 minutes left to play in the wind and now the snow in South Bend. It is all set up for an epic finish. Will it be Virginia, the team that's been #1 all year long before their heartbreaking loss to Maryland last week dropped them to 3, or will it be Notre Dame in front of a raucous crowd here at Arlotta? Do they have what it takes to come back from 4 down against this amazing Virginia team and get a win for the ages?
A team that hasn't lost in a year. Notre Dame went on a win streak after they lost to Virginia in late March in 2022. Closed out the regular season undefeated, the only team in Division I left undefeated.
Yep. Petey LaSala wins the draw. Virginia on offense. Notre Dame football coach Marcus Freeman, good enough to join us here in the booth. Coach, good to see you.
Elite lacrosse programs.
Coach, what's your reaction to watching the sport? I know you didn't grow up playing or seeing it a ton, but when you come to an afternoon like this and you see the level of lacrosse being played, what's your takeaway?
Well, I think it's a credit to Coach Corrigan and what he's done with this program. And you know, I was invited to a lacrosse match last year by one of our players, Sam Asoff. He said, Coach, come watch us play. And it's, you know, it's easy to fall in love with this game, you know. And I don't know all the rules. I know it's pretty simple, put the ball in the net, you know. And so, you know, I can figure that part out. But it's awesome to see these two teams competing and really seeing a good matchup right here.
Edmond with a good save. When you brought your football team in at the half, that electrified this stadium. How important is it, you know, on this campus with such a tradition of great athletics and across all sports to be able to support each other like that?
Yeah, I think it's really an example of what the University of Notre Dame is all about, and that, you know, it's not a huge school. It's 8,500 students, and we're a community, and that's what we do is support each other. And all these students come to our games, and you know what, we want to support a lot of these kids that we know.
You know, Coach, when you look at this type of athlete in terms of crossing over to football, if you're recruiting a kid in football that tells you he plays lacrosse, like, why would that be something that you'd be happy about?
Well, I think there's a lot of traits that lacrosse players possess that you look for in football. We have quite a few players on our team that played lacrosse in high school. And, you know, again, it's the footwork, it's the hand-eye coordination, but there's a level of toughness and athleticism that I think in both sports you have to possess to be successful. And so we encourage all of our players, especially in high school, to play as many sports as they can, and lacrosse is a growing sport, as you see in high school athletes.
Gray moving to the middle, gets it to Kavanagh. Kavanagh working on Kastner. Now behind to his brother Chris. Here's Dobson. Haven't heard much from number 8 in white today. Maybe the fourth quarter is his time. McCahon to Chris. Comes upfield. Inside to his brother. He shoots. Nunes does a good job to go down and take it away from him.
Nunes has made the saves today, Chris, that he's had to. Some questionable outings coming into this contest. The last 3 games under 50% in the cage. Today, much better.
This is going to be a turnover. Back to the Irish. Coach, one more before we let you go. Football team, spring practice. When do you guys wrap up?
We'll finish with our spring game on April 22nd. We just finished practice 3 today, and you know, it's a veteran team with a couple newcomers, but you're just starting to formulate, what this identity of this team will be, and I'm excited. Listen, I know one thing I do know about them is they're pretty aggressive. As we were walking over here for the game,
no shirts.
Virginia was coming out of the locker room, and I thought there might have been a brawl.
Right.
But no, it's great, man. They love this university, and they're a joy to coach.
Well, Coach, we love your energy, and have always watched you from afar when you were a coordinator. Then you got this job that you are a young, promising coach in college football that's here to stay and would love to play for you.
Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. Coach Freeman had his football team here today, supporting the Irish lacrosse team, gave them a lot of juice at halftime and early in that third quarter. Virginia was able to take that blow and deliver one of their own to reforge this lead back to 4 goals, which is where we stand right now. 11.5 to play. Irish got to get something going.
Who's been quiet is Dobson.
Yeah.
I mean, coming into today, no one had the equalizer for Dobson. How did they come back in this game? Defensively, the inside's been opened, right? Shellenberger has been picking this unit apart with passes.
There he is right there. Cormier couldn't get much on it. Dobson with just 1 assist on the day, no goals.
Offensively, to me, the biggest takeaway for Notre Dame is the lack of one-on-one goals, which we've seen a ton of coming into today, right? They've owned those one-on-one matchups. Virginia's been very good defending.
Quick shot by Schutz. You see it once again. It just leaves his cross in milliseconds. Wasn't able to find the target, though. Shellenberger's got 12 to shoot. McConvey working on Tevlin. A couple of 12s. Tries to get the pass to Xander. Dickson has absolutely no angle. Shot clock is going to go off, and it does. That's a violation. They'll let Notre Dame start quickly. Donovan looking to clear. Finds his help in the form of Tevlin. The Yale transfer gets it over to Pat Kavanagh. Clock winding towards 10 minutes. The Irish trailing by 4.
As mentioned earlier, who's owning the one-on-one matchup? You got the 2 attackmen, and Pat and Chris Kavanagh and Dobson have been your big Dodgers all season.
Sawstead gets through the pick. Chris Kavanagh up top to McCahon. Pat Kavanagh uses a pick just to get a little bit of space, but not enough to let it go. Dobson, can he get something going? On the run with his left, he shoots just off target. He's been off target today.
Off target. Key words there.
He has been deadly doing that exact same thing over the last month.
He's getting the looks. He's not closing the deal.
Pat puts his shoulder into the defender. Loses it. Castor's able to pick up the loose ball.
Virginia defensively has done 2 things much better today compared to last week against Maryland. Defending their one-on-one matchups and protecting the inside. Maryland was able to pick apart the Virginia off-ball defense at times. Today, much tighter of a group.
Virginia, you imagine here, Kark, with a 4-goal lead. Not going to sit on it, but going to be much more deliberate on the offensive end when they get 6v6. Work a little bit of clock, work for the best shot. McIntosh. Garno. Gets back to his right. Shoots and scores. Had a little sliver of room working on Carter Parlett, and it was all he needed.
Credit Garno here, who typically loves to shoot from the outside with his feet set. This time as a Dodger, and he scores with 26 seconds left on the shot clock. I'm thinking, is this the time to go? He says yes, and he punches it past Liam Entenmann. But if Garno starts getting into the mix, and you have Schutz, and you have McConvey, you get a little dose of Ricky Miezan, The depth there of scores from the midfield makes you frightening.
Look at that play by Tevlin. Steals the ball right out of the air. Kavanagh to Simmons, the Virginia transfer. Simmons, tough angle. Can't get it on Cage.
If you watch him on tape, he's been really, really strong inverting, taking his defensive midfielder out of their element, going behind the cage as opposed to up top, and he has two hands. So 3 and white. If you give him the rock behind the cage, he can separate.
Kavanagh up top, his brother Chris.
There's the length, right?
Yeah, can't get anything on that shot. Just too much Sawstead.
6'5", 6'6". It's the range to trail check you. That is a clean shot against a 6'2" defender, not against a 6'6" defender.
Sawstead 6'5", Castor 6'7", Scott Boyer, the LSM 6'3". Long and strong, Virginia on the defensive side. 14-9 our score. Wahoos up by 5 at the midway point of this fourth quarter. Virginia sophomore goalie Matthew Nunes was embattled coming into this game. He had not had his best few games in the last really 2 or 3 coming in. He's been great today.
Johns Hopkins, Towson, and Maryland under 50% in each game. Today he's got 10 saves, but he has not allowed one soft goal. And he's standing his ground, and most importantly, he's answered the bell, because as a goalie, you're out on an island. You're all alone. Everyone's questioning you. Every other aspect of this Virginia team, you check the box. How about your goalie? Today,
yep,
he's been good.
You think about it, he comes in and replaces Alex Rode, a national championship goalie for Virginia. Has an outstanding freshman year last year. This year, though, allowing almost 11.5 goals a game. His save percentage under 500, and yet today he's been sensational on the road in this atmosphere.
The psychological mind tricks the goalie position can play on you are real.
And he's making a save on Taylor behind the back.
That was one of his best of the day. Taylor scores that 9 out of 10 times because goalies aren't tracking the release.
Kavanagh, a little sense of desperation. You can feel it with this Irish team now. Under 7 minutes to play. McCahon looking to attack Soliday. Tried to get that pass deflected. It was not. Just try to get it through to Chris Kavanagh. Kavanagh with a little bit of a shove on Mitch Whalen. Some frustration for the boys in white. Soliday had it initially, lost it to Tevlin. Dangerous situation there, but Napolitano is able to squeeze it. Try for the empty net, and coming back, Nunes to snag it out of the air. That might have gone in. Entenmann was looking for the home run, and Nunes snipped it out. Possession back to Connor in Virginia. In the thick of the ACC schedule now, Virginia has Duke next on the 31st. Virginia's schedule is tough. They got Duke twice and Notre Dame twice. Their ACC schedule is brutal.
They'll be battle tested.
No doubt.
And
Notre Dame
Lars Tiffany, yeah.
Has Q's next up. Sorry, Paul.
Lars Tiffany always takes some time off at the end of the season before the tournament. He doesn't schedule a game that first week of May. This will be a season they'll need that rest with that schedule you mentioned.
Announced attendance here today, 3,095. I don't know if that counts the entire football team that showed up and all the folks on the berm on the far side. Plenty of standing room only. Shellenberger, shot clock inside of 10. Quick passing, no chance. No chance for Entenmann to come over and stop Dickson on that one. What a day for these two, and Shellenberger and Dickson 6 now for Xander Dickson.
Well, if Notre Dame was going to have any life in a comeback, it's going to be shots like that from Jake Taylor, but Matthew Nunes closed the door. Entenmann senses the 10-man ride. There's another save. His total up to 12 on the afternoon, and giving this offense multiple looks off of saves, turnovers. Man, they can shoot. See the patience of Shellenberger, too. That's what makes him the ultimate quarterback. He had a hockey assist there. He won't get credit for the assist. But it was the patience and how he lulled the defense and pried the Notre Dame defense to play him and shift so the backside would be open.
Irish got to operate with a sense of purpose now offensively. McCahon on the short stick. Nowhere to go. Now he gets it to Taylor, who finishes. Okay, there's one back.
If you are an inside attacker at any level, you turn on the tape and you watch Xander Dickson and Payton Cormier and Jake Taylor. It's the subtle movements. Look at Taylor there on the crease, 13 and white. Just times that cut. That's the last guy you can slide off. He senses the cut. Matsui's on him. And then the backside help is way too late. Like, you can't slide off of Jake Taylor like that. Slide off of someone else.
Sawstead couldn't get there in time. Jake Taylor second today. The lead back down to 5. And here is where Petey is just so deadly, right? Makes a mistake on that pass after winning the faceoff. So the Irish with an opportunity. Chris Kavanagh, Sawstead won't let him have it. They get a flag, though.
Be a hold on Sawstead. Yep. 30 seconds.
Kavanagh just quick enough to get under Sawstead, forcing the penalty. Irish perfect on 2-man up opportunities so far today.
Yeah, that's the right call. Mentioned it a lot today. The length is overwhelming to these guys, right?
So how does that translate now when man down when one of your best defenders is one of those out of the game? Dobson. Pat over to Chris. He'll shoot. Misses. Westland backs it up.
Good placement. Had Nunes going to his opposite low.
Tried to force it in Ricciardelli. Good look to find Westland, too wide. Taylor will put it in play, and timeout on the field before we put it in play. Dead ball timeout called by Lars Tiffany. He wants to talk things over the 3:24 mark. His team up 5.
If I'm Lars Tiffany, one of the main things I wanted to walk away from today was feeling better about the goalie position.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. And it's almost like the perfect circumstance, right? As much as you'd like maybe Matthew Nunes to find his groove in an easy midweek game against a lesser opponent, him coming on the road against the #1 team in the nation and answering like that after 3 subpar performances, that changes his complexity in terms of how he thinks and how confident he'll be moving forward.
Our Inside Lacrosse top 10. Notre Dame got every single vote last week.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out this week, because you sort of have a round robin between all these teams beating each other at the top, you know? How are you going to work that out? Because, let's see, Notre Dame.
Well, you get a vote, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I mean, Maryland beat Virginia but lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame just lost to Virginia.
You want to know what I would do?
What would you do?
I put Virginia at 1 for a reason. They went on the road and beat the #1 team in the nation. And Maryland has 2 losses. Maryland lost to Notre Dame and got blown out by Loyola.
So that in your mind, even 2 weeks after Maryland went on the road and beat the #1 team in the nation,
you have to look at the whole body of work. Those games count.
No, you're right.
Yeah, Loyola did that to them in February, but in actuality, Virginia's 1 loss came down to the final seconds and Brian Ruppel making the most ridiculous 3 saves that we've seen in recent years.
If this stays the way it is, Virginia 1 and Notre Dame 2, Maryland 3. Notre Dame beat Maryland.
Yeah, I put Notre Dame
1 loss. To your point, full body of work.
Yeah, and they have the 1 loss, and you know they're losing by 5 goals to the #3 team in the nation, and Loyola was a top 10 team at the time, but
for
not
whatever it's worth.
Longer.
I think it's safe to say that. And we'll find out tomorrow with Cornell and Penn. It looks like the top 5 teams are kind of putting themselves out there. Don't you think, Kark?
I would agree, because Duke's made a run. Cornell is lethal. And Cornell has a huge game against Penn on
If they beat Penn tomorrow, that game is at home, I think the top 5 teams have kind of separated themselves. Nice play to avoid a potential score there on the 10-man ride.
You have to have some time thinking about #2 and 3 between Maryland and Notre Dame. But for me, Virginia's 1 loss is by 1 goal, and then they followed up coming on the road to the #1 team in the nation and could win by 5. They have 1 loss.
Right, and Maryland has Penn State, probably the surprise team in the country in terms of their start, or certainly one of them. I think you can look at Loyola, you can look at Penn State, you can look at Villanova.
Villanova's a team.
Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah, Matt Campbell at the midfield, and they're starting to play better defense too. Like, they would always have to outscore teams. This year, this defense it's been a little bit more in sync in making the plays they have to match their offense.
It's interesting with the Big East too, with Villanova. Georgetown's playing so much better, and so is Denver too. The Big East is all of a sudden a different kettle of fish. We'll get it inside the crease here as McCahon tried to force it. Nunes was there to stop it.
Yeah, you mentioned the Big East. I mean, teams like Denver, you got to win against North Carolina, got to win against Ohio State.
Georgetown has turned things around after a brutal start for Kevin Warren.
The one thing that you could say is the Ivy's not getting 6 again, right? So other conferences have some room to get another team in, because that 6 just outside of the one in Penn that won their league tournament. They had 5 at-larges last year.
Duke, Virginia at 5 o'clock on Friday. Timeout by Lars. 1:39 left to play.
Well, the beauty of all this is these teams that we're talking about, the Virginias, the Dukes, and the Notre Dames, they all play each other. They're all going to be part of slugfests.
Yeah.
We'll solve it on the field.
It could be really fun in May when you talk about all these teams potentially meeting in the postseason. These 2 teams, and you think about Maryland, throw them into the mix. We've seen some overtime thrillers with this group of teams.
Yeah, the Kavanaghs answered the bell in College Park. First it was Chris Kavanagh tying it through the air. Pat Kavanagh with his left hand. Bam, game, set, match. These were the saves by Ruppel, the most ridiculous saves of the season, right? 3, one after another. Daniel Kelly ices it for the Terps with that monster win. The question is, what kind of psychological advantage does Maryland have over Virginia, right? Yeah. Last 3 times they played, they've won. But this is a huge win for the Cavaliers. 17th straight time they've had a win following a loss. That tells you about Lars Tiffany Sean Kerwin, Kip Turner, the way they make adjustments.
You know, you talk about Maryland having Virginia's number a little bit. Think about this, and we've talked about it today. Last time Notre Dame lost was to Virginia.
Yep.
Now they lose after winning 12 straight to Virginia. They'll meet again, last game of the regular season in Charlottesville. And they may meet again after that in the NCAA tournament.
And this is a Notre Dame defense that, even in losses, was able to bottle up Virginia. But Cavaliers, most goals against Notre Dame since 1994. This offense is for real. Highest scoring offense in the country. It's a bear to deal with.
Oh, Entenmann prevents what might have been another goal as he was out of the cage but dived to make the stop. Ross Bergmaster and the Bagpipers trying to clear it, loses possession.
Virginia ride.
Be a disappointing loss for Notre Dame. Have all the faith in the world they'll bounce back. Again, they're at Syracuse next weekend.
Syracuse has to deal with Pat Kavanagh. Last 3 times Pat Kavanagh has played against Syracuse, he's averaging 9 points a game.
And he's going to
talk about nightmares.
He's going to be ornery.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Syracuse has all kinds of issues on that side of the ball too. Not as much on the offensive end, but
I think they're starting to tighten up a little bit.
Oh yeah, they got a goalie you face a ton of rubber.
Yeah, Will Mark's incredible. I think he's a top 3 goalie in the country, Will Mark. I think this guy right here, Liam Entenmann's one of them. Didn't have his best day, but he's a top 3 goalie. Thought Logan McNaney from Maryland prior to his injury was the 3rd, right? In no order. Those 3 guys were the best.
McCahon, nope. Final 34 seconds here from South Bend. Notre Dame scored first. Virginia went on a run. The Irish were able to fight all the way back to tie the game.
That's what you can't do against the length, right? You can't get into the body of Kastner or Sawstead. I think if you're Kavanagh, Chris or Pat, when you turn on the tape, your next time attacking them should be in space, a lot of space, by the restraining box lines. That's where your dodge should start, because if you get into the body around goal line extended, you're toast.
And it's getting a little chippy here at the end. A couple of different flags flying. We'll get 2 separate calls. Looked like Soliday was involved. Tevlin was involved on the far side.
Tevlin's one of the bagpipers.
Right.
Quinn loves the two-headed monster, right? This is the first time in Notre Dame history 2 bagpipers.
Right. Q's always
Bergmaster, Tevlin.
Yeah, Q feels like it gives him a little more punch.
And it also hides mistakes, he said too. Like this guy actually breaks down the bagpipers. It hides mistakes.
I could see Q watching it with one finger over his ear, like
it's an IFB. He's got an IFB
like getting the harmonies of it. You see Q and Anish in that Cornell Penn game tomorrow at noon on ESPNU.
The 2 bagpipers he thinks are the best of all time at Notre Dame. Ryan Mix was one of them. And he also thought Regis McDermott, who is Ryan Hoff, our producer's roommate, one of his best friends. So those are the 2 best bagpipers in Notre Dame history, according to Quinn Kessner, not me.
You see the Irish filling up the penalty box. Cross-checking and unsportsmanlike. The 2 brothers.
The Hansen twins.
Right, at the end of this game, letting...
Well, they were triplets, the Hansons,
frustration.
weren't they?
Yeah,
they weren't
triplets. The Hansen brothers.
Kavanagh brothers.
Right.
They've been in the box.
Old-time hockey.
Yep. Bring in Ogie Oglethorpe and you'll be all right.
Yeah. I think they tried to send him to Canada, and Canada refused to take him. The final horn sounds. Big win for Virginia on the road, bouncing back from a gut-wrenching loss last week in overtime.
Shellenberger to Dickson, who had 6 goals. Nunes in the cage, and the length of the Virginia defense, for me, were the 3 things that created this win.
For Paul Carcaterra and our entire crew, who did a great job in the weather today here at South Bend. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Connor. 15-10 the final, Virginia with the dub.